A Ukrainian Su-27 survived Russia's S-400, S-300, Su-35 fighters, and a hypersonic R-37M, all in one mission. Despite more than 10 missile launches, the pilot still climbed to release altitude and dropped a JDAM-ER that destroyed a Russian command post. Today, at 10 AM, a Russian command post is monitoring telegram updates instead of radar screens. The operators scroll through updates about artillery duels, drone sightings, and rumors, unaware they are seconds away from becoming one more entry in the feed. None of them realize that 100 kilometers away, a Ukrainian Su-27 is knifing through the air at treetop height, its wings cutting the morning haze as it carries a JDAM-ER designed to erase their headquarters in a single, precise strike. Everything about the flight is unfolding exactly as planners intended. The timing is tight, but clean. The route is mapped down to the meter. A previously unseen Russian air defense radar wakes up somewhere beyond the horizon, and the Su-27's threat receiver explodes with alarms. X-band radiation spikes through the cockpit. The pilot sees he's being painted from more than 300 kilometers away. Both AL-31F engines light their afterburners as he banks hard to the left. What was once a controlled strike run becomes a contest between radar algorithms, missile geometry, by blending into the terrain before physics catches up. To understand why a single climb can ignite an entire Russian air defense grid, the story has to rewind. None of this is random. It's the result of patterns and probabilities that have been evolving across hundreds of missions. Both sides know the other's habits. Both sides adjust. Both sides learn. The first signal of danger comes from an S-400 battery, whose gravestone engagement radar has acquired a firm lock on the Su-27. Inside its control cabin, operators watch the digital track stabilize. The radar's 2,500 electronic modules steer beams in microseconds without moving a single mechanical part. They assign the aircraft to track 247. Then a 40 N-6E missile launches. 7.5 meters long, it accelerates to hypersonic speed in seconds. It leaves the launcher like a spear thrown by a Titan. But the missile does not chase the aircraft like something out of an action movie. It predicts where the aircraft will be, using proportional navigation, predicting where the aircraft will be, not where it is when throwing a football to a receiver who is still running. It constantly solves a geometry problem, updating its intercept point more than 100 times per second. The missile races toward a location physics says the Su-27 will reach if it continues on its current trajectory. The pilot counters by diving to 500 feet, using Earth itself as armor. The curvature of the planet creates a radar shadow that the S-400 cannot penetrate. At long range, anything below roughly 1,000 feet drops behind the radar horizon. The missile receives its last mid-course update, heading 300, speed 200 mph, altitude unknown. Then it becomes a blind projectile guided by probability more than observation. But Russian prediction algorithms do not stop simply because the aircraft is temporarily hidden. They fuse every scrap of data, past track points, terrain, aircraft heading, known Ukrainian tactics, and climb patterns observed in earlier JDAM strikes. Over time, these systems have built a library of Ukrainian behavioral tendencies. The system predicts where the pilot will likely pop up to release his glide bomb. It models likely pop-up points from prior missions and terrain, the same way you know a quick store run always ends in the home decor aisle, even if that was never the original plan. Meanwhile, the pilot's evasive maneuver burns fuel at a rate that would make any aviator anxious. Down low, Alabama, 31 F engines drink almost 300 kilograms per minute, more than twice their consumption at cruise altitude. The 5 minutes he lost dodging the first missile can mean the difference between landing safely at base or ejecting over hostile ground. Before he can stabilize the situation, a second S-400 battery, deep inside Russian territory, launches a 48 N-6 DM missile. This one is fired at empty sky, not at a tracked target. The operators are gambling. They fire at the altitude and speed window that Ukrainian aircraft must hit to release a JDAM-ER at maximum range. The glide bomb needs about 27,000 feet and roughly 400 knots to travel the full 70 kilometers. Too slow and the wings won't deploy properly. Too fast and the mechanism risks tearing apart. Those numbers appear in the Russian database again and again. So the battery fires not at the plane but at the physics the plane must obey. When the missile fails to find anything, it self-destructs. A small, pointless fireball. No tactical effect. But the first S-400 continues its pursuit. The pilot escapes that envelope only to enter a new one. He flies directly into an S-300 engagement zone. Its grill pan radar has silently tracked him through his own radar altimeter pulses, tiny 4.3 gigahertz signals that bounce off the ground 50 times per second. The same system meant to keep him from crashing now serves as a beacon. 29M82M missiles launch. These are not long-range strategic interceptors. They are short-range killers, optimized for guaranteed hits inside 100 kilometers. Their boost-sustain motors propel them to Mach 7.5 and preserve energy for terminal maneuvers. Their guidance method is semi-active command. A human operator sits in front of a screen, joystick in hand, flying the missile with steady precision. Command guidance reduces the effectiveness of seeker-focused jamming, just a Russian operator making adjustments in real time. The Su-27 dumps chaff and heads toward a ridgeline. One missile operator mistakenly locks onto the larger chaff cloud. The other stays on the real aircraft. The pilot holds nerve as the ground rushes toward him at 200 mph. To understand why a single climb can ignite an entire Russian air defense grid, the story has to rewind. None of this is random. It's the result of patterns and probabilities that have been evolving across hundreds of missions. Both sides know the other's habits. Both sides adjust. Both sides learn. 3 more S-300 batteries activate. They fire 4 missiles almost simultaneously, each programmed to intercept from a different angle. It's pure Soviet doctrine. Saturate every possible escape direction. The pilot performs a vertical zoom climb, from 500 feet to 3,500 feet in 4 seconds. The sudden vertical change forces all 4 missiles to adjust. Their guidance beams cross and interfere, causing multiple breaks in lock. Causing multiple breaks in the lock. 2 missiles lose lock. 1 overshoots. The last one runs out of fuel trying to match the climb. The pilot survives a second time, but his reserve fuel is nearly gone. Then 2 Su-35 fighters arrive from 150 kilometers away. Their Irbis-E radars lock onto him while still well beyond visual range. One Su-35 fires an R-37M, a hypersonic missile designed to kill high-value aircraft before they can escape. Its dual-pulse motor lets it sprint, then glide, then strike, with a final burst of acceleration. It receives updates from the launching fighter 10 times per second. The Su-27 climbs toward 27,000 feet. He needs that altitude for the JDAM-ER. Anything lower, and the bomb will fall short. By his calculations, he will reach release altitude in 40 seconds. The R-37M will reach him in 45. He is threading a needle almost no pilot wants to thread. At 26,800 feet, he releases the bomb. The JDAM-ER drops. Explosive bolts fire. Wings deploy. For 3.2 seconds, the pilot must hold steady before maneuvering. Then, the R-37M Seeker activates at 18 kilometers. It locks instantly onto the Su-27's massive radar signature. The pilot rolls inverted, pulls 9 Gs, and dumps chaff and flares. The missile whips past 100 meters overhead. Its proximity fuse detonates, showering the aircraft with fragments. Holes whistle, hydraulics drop. The right engine spikes in temperature but stabilizes. The jet is wounded, but still flying. Behind him, the JDAM-ER glides. Russian jammers flood GPS frequencies. The bomb switches to an encrypted military M code. Between GPS updates, its inertial navigation system takes over. INS drift grows 5 meters per minute. At one point, jamming wipes GPS entirely. After 45 seconds, the drift reaches 20 meters. Too much when the target is 30 meters from identical buildings. Then the bomb reacquires 4 satellites. Reacquisition corrects accumulated INS drift. The Su-27 drops to 100 feet. Fuel sits at 18%, enough to make it home if the sky stays quiet. The JDAM's radar altimeter activates at 1,000 feet. It calculates a 72-degree terminal dive. Scene matching confirms the target, tilde 98% confidence based on roof damage. It adjusts 2 degrees left for a 50-knot crosswind. At 100 feet, GPS provides one last update. Impact comes at 94 m/s. The delay fuse waits 25 milliseconds, letting the weapon punch through 3 floors before detonation. Lateral pressure, 10 times what the structure can survive, tears the building apart. Floors pancake in 4.3 seconds. Adjacent buildings survive with broken windows. The pilot's flight back over the treetops is quiet, tense, and fueled only by the last drops left in his tanks. He has survived Russia's most advanced missiles, outmaneuvered every system thrown at him, and delivered the single weapon that changed the battlefield that morning. 1 jet, 1 bomb, and 1 impossible mission completed against overwhelming odds. If you want more breakdowns of missions like this, where skill, physics, and strategy collide, make sure you subscribe, because stories like this are shaping the future of modern air warfare, and there's much more ahead.